Alright, looks like we're up. So, hello and welcome back to another stream of Gentoo installation on HP X2 210. What happened since last time? Well, it's been a while, for one. For another, a lot has happened. One of the things that happened is that Remix OS died. From their side, not mine. So I guess I won't be trying to get that to work anymore, even though technically it worked better than Android x86. I might still try to get Android x86 working, but I'm not very hopeful that it can work. Well, maybe, but I'll just try and do that later, because it all depends on the kernel options. If I can get everything working as I have it right now on regular Gentoo, then I'm pretty sure I can get Android working as well. But speaking about the kernel, so what happened through last time, I think, is that basically now my kernel works 100% perfectly just as I want. The problem with battery has been solved because there was a patch to the kernel suggested on the thread on the kernel bug tracker that I created by some person who seems to be very knowledgeable about the problem. And it indeed works. So it basically was a problem of some sort of dependency hell in the kernel, so it would never initialize the battery itself. Just breaking that dependency issue by making it initialize whenever makes it work. And then there was another patch suggested to another patch set that introduces the PMIC kernel driver for Cherry Trail, specifically the $Cove TI thing. That patch should make things work correctly out of the box, assuming that the $Cove TI driver is installed and running, and of course that you're running Cherry Trail with that PMIC. So, what I want to do right now is two things. One is to see if all of that work has already been put into the upstream kernel. I doubt it, because I don't think the $Cove PMIC is actually upstream. I think it's still in Takashi UI's kernel fork, so sound something something. So I don't think that will work, but I might as well try and see how good the upstream kernel is at the moment, and whether it will become perfect in the upcoming releases. But I think I can still wait around for that, although one problem with the kernel right now that I noticed is that I plugged in an extra SD card so that I can have more space. And what happens is, let's see, does it show it here? So it didn't happen this time. But a lot of the times it somehow doesn't really want to start using the SD card that I plugged in. The internal SD card works perfectly, but the external one gives some sort of input-output errors. And I'm sure it's not the card itself, because I can just plug it into a USB card reader, and that works perfectly. So that must be a kernel issue, and it's probably a kernel issue because I'm using the Sunshi kernel. Yeah, I'm using the Sunshi kernel. Which, yeah, I'm pretty sure that all of the fixes that went into the Sunshi kernel are now upstream, so I can just use the upstream kernel for that. The $Cove parts are not upstream yet, so I cannot use those. So what I could try and do is to just use Takashi UI's kernel, if the regular upstream kernel doesn't work. But yeah, that's basically for later. What I want to do now is to finalize the installation of Plasma Mobile. Last time we tried to install that, and I think I merged it. Did I? Let's see. Now, I have just Plasma Mobile and not Plasma Phone components, so let's immerse that. I already updated my system, so I don't need to wait around for everything to update. So emerge AV1. Well, actually just AV. Plasma Phone components, which for some reason seems to be a dependency of Plasma Mobile. Like a sort dependency, if you don't install it, you can get Plasma active, but that's completely unmaintained and broken. And hopefully if I install Plasma Phone components, everything will work fine. However, that assumes that I can actually install that, which is not guaranteed because that's my own e-build that I just made. And looks like it requires telepathy. Okay, that's a bit strange, but I guess that's a phone component. So let's just wait for that to emerge. Though I should have done that in tmux, but whatever. Yeah, I might also need to recompile Plasma Mobile itself, because I've updated Plasma itself from 4.8 to 4.9. No, 5.8 to 5.9. And I'm not sure whether there's like close coupling between Plasma Mobile and Plasma Workspace and so on. I assume not, but I guess we'll see. And yeah, let me check real quick whether there have been any notable updates to Plasma Mobile itself in Git. So it's on quickgit.kde.org, which redirects to cgit.kde.org, and it's plasmamobile.git. So the latest update in master was 3 days ago, but that's by the localization daemon. That's not super useful. Yeah, the last real update was in 2017 0118, which is a bit strange because also another thing that happened in between was KD Academy, which might actually still be going. I don't really know the schedule, but basically in Academy they also kind of went over the ideas about where they want to bring Plasma Mobile now. And they also decided to do something to make like touch input better and so on. I think across Plasma Mobile and also in Plasma Desktop itself as well. So another thing that I might want to try is just using regular Plasma Desktop and see how that works. Maybe how that compares to GNOME when using touch input. I'm pretty sure it doesn't compare well though, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe not yet. But I thought that they would already update Plasma Mobile itself as well, but apparently they didn't. Maybe they still have staging code that they haven't pushed upstream or something. I don't know. Or maybe it's in one of these branches. Although most of these branches seem to be kind of old as well. Well, I guess we'll see soon enough. So now it's emerging telepathy Qt. with CMake. But yeah, so currently everything in the kernel works except for the back camera, and I don't really care about the back camera. There haven't been any real replies to my kernel bug about it, so I guess nobody else also cares about the back camera, and I'm quite fine with that. Suspend and resume seems to work fine. What else did I have problems with before? Oh yeah, the audio is a bit strange in that I can use everything correctly. I can switch the audio settings around in Pulse Audio now by applying something in ALSA called U something something. ALSA U unified something. Basically, it's a bunch of profiles, so you get the option to switch profiles in Power Control, for example. And what switching profiles does is just execute a bunch of a mixer commands. And if the profile is correct and everything works correctly, then, well, everything works correctly. I can switch from headphones to the speakers, I can turn on and off the microphone and so on. But still, you can open ALSA Mixer and try to change all those weird options yourself, which is extremely dangerous and should not be allowed at all. So I don't really know who thought that was a good idea, but the answer seems to be the automotive industry, because they created that whole system for in-car infotainment purposes. And it's very weird because there's like several profiles that can be created for every sound card, and it says that like one of the uses for it is that if your vehicle's front device crashes or something, then it can switch to another like emergency profile and then do some kind of weird beeps with the rear speakers or something. But on desktops, that's really not useful at all. So there's like just one profile called hi-fi, listen to hi-fi music, and that's the only thing. Huh. And telepathy is still building. I would try and show how the audio works, but I'm not in Dmux, whoops. Well, one strange thing about the audio is how the microphone works. In the profiles that I have right now, there are three options. You can enable the analog microphone number 1, or you can enable analog microphone number 3. I don't know what's up with microphone number 2, but it doesn't exist. Or you can enable a digital microphone. If I try to enable one of the analog microphones, nothing happens. I cannot at all have anything go through the microphone. If I enable the digital microphone, it works. It actually works quite well. The problem is that when I try to change the volume, nothing happens. So it's kind of digital in the very literal sense. It's either enabled or disabled. It's a Boolean microphone. And yeah, I don't know what's up with that. I'm pretty sure that's not what's supposed to be happening. Like, changing the volume is supposed to change the volume. But the digital microphone is also labeled as, in very uppercase letters, not tested. So I assume it's not really supposed to be working at all. But one of the reasons why it has been quite a long time in between the updates is that, in general, the setup that I have right now is, for me, good enough to just use in quote-unquote production already. I'm not using the GNOME's PDF viewer events because it cannot display EPUB books, and that's mostly what I'm using my tablet for right now, just reading ebooks and so on. So that's absolutely necessary, but Ocular, that I installed like a few videos ago, it does that very, very nicely. It has a lot of different options. I compiled it with like mobile interface as well, but I just see the desktop interface, so I'm not sure how to actually toggle it. I think it's controlled by an environmental variable, but it's probably one of those that Plasma Mobile sets. So I guess we will see what happens once I'm done with compiling that. But yeah, otherwise GNOME is working really quite nicely. I can use it with the touchscreen quite without any problems. The keyboard is a bit irritating because it keeps popping up and, well, it keeps popping up when I don't need it, and then it doesn't pop up when I do need it. So I might want to install onboard, because I've heard that that works quite nicely. But it's still like a very minor issue, so for the most part I use the detachable keyboard anyway, so it's not a big deal. Otherwise, yeah, Chrome is really nice. I can watch videos, MPV just got updated, it works very nicely as well. So, yeah, that's basically why I don't really need updates that often, but I still want to try and finish reviewing all of the operating systems that I wanted. And also, Remix OS getting killed is nice in a way that now I have a lot more space for putting extra files. So I guess like that's enough space for putting a few extra kernels, or for compiling Chromium OS maybe, or for compiling Sailfish OS, things like that. So, yeah. But that will be for some later times. Also, I'm seeing some warnings here. I'm not sure what's up with that. It still says compile, but from the speed of compilation, I'm guessing that it's auto-mock? Is it auto-mock? Yes, it looks like auto-mock. I don't know why, but it goes by super fast. I think that's like a preprocessor for C++. Well, for Qt specifically. I'm also not sure if that messes up the percentage calculation of how long it will take for the building to finish. I'm not sure how CMake actually calculates that percentage. Does it go by lines of code? Does it go by files that it's supposed to be building? Or what? Because I'm pretty sure that showing percentage by files is not very accurate, because you can have some large files and some very small files, and they will not equal the same percentage. Lines of code by themselves might also not be a reliable indicator of how long it takes to compile. If, for example, there's a lot of comments in one file and not a whole lot of comments in another one. Or if in some cases you have very long lines and in some cases you don't, even though I don't think that would realistically happen all that often. there is a progress bar here, 65%. Yeah. I'm not sure what telepathy Qt itself really is. I know what telepathy is. I know what KDE telepathy is, but what part of that is telepathy Qt? Is it like bindings of telepathy to Qt? But why would you need bindings to a chat system from a toolkit? That doesn't really seem related all that much. I don't know, it's 70%. No, that's not less, that's more. It is going upwards. It might, in some cases, be that it shows the percentage of like the current directory that you're compiling or something. Because I think CMake can have like sub-projects or something like that. So then the percentages can reset. But for the most part, that doesn't really happen that often. And so far it seems to be going up. Yeah, it's also kind of weird that Plasma Mobile requires the phone components. And, well, actually, let me look at that. Have the phone components been updated? Because I think a good part of Plasma Mobile is, for some reason, put into Plasma Phone components. There's also Plasma Phone settings, and I don't know what that's about either. Let's see, so Plasma Phone components, master. There's some daemon script commits. Okay, here the last update is from 2017-05-11. I don't remember when I made the e-build, but I think that whenever I made it, it should be still fine because it will download the latest Git and compile it anyway. No, they changed some virtual keyboard styles. Height stuff. And so on, but that's very weird. There's a commit saying use Qt 5.7, and then the changes are just to a QML file with a whole bunch of things removed, and a change for Qt Quick 2.7 to Qt Quick 2.0. How does that equal using Qt 5.7? But okay. Q virtual keyboard plugin. Now, hopefully once this is all compiled, I can actually start running the thing. And then write a review about how usable Plasma Mobile really is. Although, I have a feeling that it will get updated quite a bit after Academy is over and everyone is back from their vacations. Another thing that was mentioned quite often in Academy is that there's this KDE netbook or something, like they're calling it the Slim Book, that finally has been released, and then everyone there got theirs in Academy, and they were quite happy with it. And I think that runs the regular Plasma 5. I don't think it runs mobile. Let me check in aggregator. Did they mention anything about that? There's talk about Qt 5.10. 5.9 is like a long-term support release, so later Plasma releases will be built against that. And the Plasma people are not very fond of Qt 5.8 or 5.9 because it broke quite a few things without telling anyone. And there are quite fundamental things for K1 to work. So now they added some workarounds, but it's still not great. And they cannot really maintain two different paths for earlier Qt and for later Qt, so they're just going to drop earlier Qt support altogether. Let's see, so... The first Slimbook was released in March 15, apparently. Yeah, pre-installed is KDE Neon, so yeah, that's just regular Plasma, so it's not very exciting, I suppose. But then that still spurred some talks about how to make things run better with touchscreen and so on. And why is telepathy Qt so slow? I guess I should start the this CC server on my main computer because I don't have that started yet. And then I also need to actually enable that on my tablet. Otherwise, that's not going to do much. Yeah, it's already 86%. If it's not going, well, if it's not counting the auto mock part that much, then it would be quite accurate. But if it is counting the auto mock part, then the percentage is probably wildly inaccurate, and it's more like 60% or something. And we can see that it's compiling using GNU++ 11. Very recently, Kwin has switched from only allowing you to compile with C++ 14 to requiring C++ 14. So the next... What? Source compile after 86%. Come on. CMake, you can do better than that. But yeah, so it's switched to requiring C++ 14. And I guess then Gentoo ebuilds should adapt to that eventually. But that's still in an upcoming release, so there's no rush. Alright, so here's where the fun starts. Will Plasma Phone components compile and install correctly? Come on, fingers crossed. Fetching. Alright, so far so good. Unpacked, good. Prepared. Alright. Okay, there was something weird going on there, but not fatal apparently. So 4, it's okay. It's compiling the dialer, which I don't really need, but as long as it also compiles the parts needed for launching Plasma Mobile, I'm fine with that. Some warnings, nothing fatal. Linking, and it looks like it's done. The home screen is quite important. It's linking against 5.7, which the master is indeed made for, so that's nice. Okay, so the e-build is a success. Now, the real question is, can I finally start the thing correctly? This is interesting. I didn't write that warning, but it automatically does that, apparently, if you use a get of KF5 component, so that's pretty cool. Alright, let's see. So one thing that it should have installed is the actual script to start the thing. Plasma phone dialer, some QML stuff, plugins, home screen and task panel. That's a good start. Wallpaper, scripts, sound, key services 5, key package, notifications, telepathy. That's basically why I needed Qt telepathy. Net info, plasmoids, look and feel, shells. Okay. But that's all users share. Wasn't there a script for actually launching the thing? There is plasma-phone, but I'm not sure what that's all about. Can I scroll back up to the compile part? Not quite. Okay, let me check the Git repository again. Because there is... where is it? Is it applets or something? No. Now let's look at the README. So dependencies, KDE Frameworks 5, Ophono, voice call, Ophono phone sim, Kernel context kit plugin. But that's not really required because phone sim is just about SIM cards and so on. Then start Ophono D as root, start phone sim. Start Plasma with Plasma shell-w-p org.kde.plasma.phone to start the phone home screen in a window. Okay. I do recall that this is where I got my script for setting all of these options to start Plasma Mobile from. Or was it? Was it Plasma Mobile itself? I don't think it was. Yeah, plasmaphone.sh. I know that this is there somewhere. Oh right, that is Plasma Phone. It's just not .sh. User bin Plasma Phone. Yeah. Okay, so it's installed correctly. So it unsays a bunch of things, exports a bunch of things. Then a bunch of things don't really work correctly, I'm pretty sure. Because it's made for Upstart for some reason. And there's a bunch of things that I don't need, so I'm pretty sure I can just use my plasmaphone.sh scripts instead. Yeah, I commented out a bunch of things, but I might need to change the polkit part. And also probably enable the exec part. So it's supposed to be user lib64 libexec polkit key authentication agent. Okay. So let's see, does that actually exist? User lib64 libexec power polkit, yes. Polkit agent and org-kd power devil. Well, that doesn't, but hopefully it doesn't matter. So I'll just change the other thing. This part to user lib64 libexec. And then uncomment this part. Then it should put all the errors into TMP plasma shell logs. Everything else I think is correct. Wayland, KDE, disable window decorations, KDE, QScreen, phone handheld, plasma, controls mobile true. And then there's Google single sign-on, apparently, and telepathy mission control. I'm also not sure what is up with that. I might just try without anything at the moment. And just see what happens. So I assume I need to... well, I need to stop my current shell and just try and run that from the tablet itself, not from SSH. So let me do that. About it being experimental, I'm not entirely certain if there is a release of Plasma Mobile itself. Well, you can find some binaries on the Plasma Mobile website, but basically the reason why it shows that it's experimental is because of the ebuild. I'm building it from Git. There is no current ebuild for that in Gentoo itself. There is a bug in the bug tracker for it, but nobody seems to be interested enough to actually make an ebuild for it. So I just quickly created an ebuild that downloads things from Git. I don't think there is actually a release. Not any recent release anyway. There's a bunch of active tags, but that's not really releases per se, and they're super old. Alright, so let's try that. Got my tablet here. let's log out of GNOME. How do I log out again? Like that. Log out. And this is GDM. I don't think it will do anything bad, so we'll leave it running for now. If it does do something bad, then I'll terminate it. Okay, so let's just do plasma phone.sh. Cannot determine display. Failed to create display. Connection refused. Cannot initialize the equivalent properties of queue application. No instance yet existing. Okay. That's not very informative. Well, let's try with the dbus thing. Well, something happened. Well, something different anyway. Failed to open connection to session message bus, unable to auto-launch a dbus daemon without a display for X11. Why do you need a display for X11 for that? So what would happen if I did try to launch that from within an X session? Would that create Plasma Mobile inside a window or something? Oh no, but that actually... Let's launch dbus daemon. I'm pretty sure that's the same error message. I just got 2 extra error messages from the 2 dbus calls. So that's actually not something new. Do I actually have dbus rang? No. Yes. I have a session dbus daemon. Print address 3. Address config file. And what it was trying to do is send to dbus start service by name, these things, which I don't think are very important anyway. So the real problem that I'm seeing right now is kf5 dot kcore add-ons dot k about data could not initialize the equivalent properties of Q star application no instance yet existing. There is a Red Hat bug about console. Huh? Really? I don't have a user dbus running? But I don't have a user dbus. I mean, I can do a dbus launch thing. How does that work again? Because it returns something that you then need to put into your environment or something. Right, actually Plasma itself tells me to do that if it's not done. So actually I should just try to run that first. So if I manually do that, just the last part, Plasma shell -p org kde Plasma phone not connected display aborted core dumped. Huh. That doesn't say anything about me not having dbus. It will print the address and PID to standard outputs. dbus launch program? Well, I can try. I'm pretty sure that won't work, but okay. dbus launch user local Plasma phone user local bin Plasma phone. Okay, well, something different happened for the dbus parts. It says that org free desktop dbus error service unknown. The name com Google code accounts as SSO single sign-on was not provided by any service files. That makes sense. And method return time something something. uint32.1. But everything else is the same. About data could not initialize the equivalent properties of queue application, no instance yet existing. So that's the real error anyway. Well, there's now a new dbus daemon. In case I need it, I can just tell it to quit or something. So what's up with this strange error? There's a bug that one person updated their Plasma, and then that started happening with console. It's quite different from what I'm seeing, but the error message is the same. And there's no real solution here. Not seeing anything that relevant right now. Though that might actually just be a warning. And the real problem is error cannot determine $display and failed to create display connection refused. But then the display is Wayland. Like, that should not be a problem. It should look at Wayland display rather than display. Nowhere here does it try to do anything like that. So let's go through the whole debug kwin thing again that we tried to do last time, I think. Just need to dig out the article once again. Where was it? Where was it? Where was it? And there it is. Okay, so now I have... Oh, it's just export dbus launch. That's supposed to be done. Okay, so the nested setup works. Testing on TTY, export dbus launch. So, yeah, I don't know if that worked or not. Okay, so kwin Wayland --x Wayland --exit with session equals, well, let's use ocular, I guess. Alright, that starts, and I got ocular. So kwin works quite nicely. I can move ocular around. It has very small items in the menu and very large window decorations, but it works. I can even open about and do things in there. Okay. So can I try and launch that somehow after kwin is running? The thing is, don't know if there's any means to do that from inside a kwin session without having console. With console I could do that. Can I do that from SSH and just tell it what the display is somehow? Because I am running X Wayland, so there is also X running inside Wayland. Basically, kwin itself works just fine. Well, I wonder, how many dependencies do I need to get console? Also, I should probably enter tmux. No dependencies. Well, then that's a clear thing to try. Just to see if that works. And I'll try and close ocular now. That should exit. Yep, it exits. Some warnings, but no big deal. So let's get console and try to run kwin with console, and then try to run the script from inside console. And that was automock, clearly. So it seems like it is counted. And hence it throws off the percentages a bit. I wonder, is there an IRC channel for Plasma Mobile? Well, hashtag Plasma Mobile, that's for sure. Gentoo is one of the highest user count channel. Quite interesting. Yeah, I did forget my distc. Oh, no big deal. It's almost done anyway. IRC has its own IRC channel. That's great. Well, there's KDE Mobile with 3 users in it. That's great. Well, I guess just hash Plasma is Plasma Desktop and Mobile. Okay, so now let's try with console. Alright, I got a console. I can enter things into the console. So, plasma phone.sh. Oh, it works. Somewhat. Huh. Okay, well, that's nice. So what I'm seeing right now is a search bar, a sort of desktop thing with the desktop wallpaper, 4 items at the bottom: phone, calculator, characters, and cheese. Not sure how it decided to do that, but okay. And 3 buttons as if it was like Android or something. So one is 4 squares, one is a picture of a house, and one is an X. So let's try to press the 4 squares, I guess. Okay. That popped up a sort of window preview thing, as if it's on GNOME, showing a Wayland logo and an X to the top right of it. I guess that's just the windows that are running, and right now not much is running. Well, there's no VNC for Wayland as far as I know, so unfortunately I can't show you what I'm seeing right now. If I press home, I get back to the same place, except now the bar at the bottom is disappeared. It's still there though, I can see things if I press on them. Yeah. Oh, what? And now I'm back on console, so I probably crashed something. Adding new listener, listener online, authentication agent result true. Yeah, but I'm not seeing anything. Stopped it, let's try it again. Oh, and now I got a bar at the top that shows me the time, the battery level, and something else. 3 dots. Oh, I guess I need to drag it, yeah. No new notifications. Enable power management. Fully charged, 100%. Capacity, 99%. Vendor, Intel SR1, as if this is the Normandy. Model is SR real battery. Again, as if this was the Normandy. And there are 3 dots, which says new activity. Activity 2, default, desktop, and test. I think I created the test activity in Plasma Active, the very broken version. So it's interesting that this actually exists. What happens if I press on it? Not much that I can see, but it did change that activity, I guess. Default, it seems to change like the quick launch buttons that I can press. And there's desktop, which doesn't seem to do much. Defaults activity 2. Okay, well, at least something works here. Let's try the search bar. Oh, the search bar actually has this whole handle thing and a button, which I assume will give me a virtual keyboard. Or not. I am pressing it and nothing is happening. But okay, let's enter something into the search. Well, say Ocular itself. Yes, it does show that. And it starts inside the whole user interface with actually large menu items. So that's pretty nice. I'm not too sure how to check what windowing system it's running, but it seems different enough from X that I'm willing to say that this is Wayland and not X Wayland. It's definitely some sort of Wayland, but yeah. So okay, that's pretty nice. And oh, I can drag the bottom of the screen where we have these 4 items by default, and it opens the list of all applications. So I have color profile, deconf editor, the CC monitor, document viewer, another document viewer, events, files, font viewer, Google Chrome, image viewer, console, KCSGuard, KVault manager, MPV, Ocular, passwords and keys, pulse audio volume, Qt configuration, terminal, text editor, weather, WPA supplicant. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Let's see what happens if I try to launch Google Chrome from here. It runs, but it looks very small. Huh. And it is listed in the list of programs. And if I press X, it gets closed. Okay. Then what happens if I try to run gedit? It does open. I do see the handlebar. Let's try to write something. Yeah, I can move the handlebar, so it looks like that works in Plasma Mobile just as well. Okay, that's cool. And I can close it with the client-side decoration. Close without saving. Goes away. Then let's try, say, KCSGuard. It's not full screen by default somehow, but I can make it full screen quite easily. And it essentially shows something akin to that. So we have KWin Wayland, Plasma Shell, KCSGuard, but also GNOME Shell, because I didn't close that one. Well, okay. Fortunately, I can't seem to get the virtual keyboard working in any way. And pressing home makes the home bar disappear once again. And can I do other things with the search bar, like use the calculator? 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. That's a bit strange. It actually does pop out like the icon for the calculator, but it doesn't actually show the answer. I guess because the calculator itself is not installed. Yeah, at least not the KDE version. Oh, but when I press enter, it shows 16. Okay, fair enough. There's an analog clock with hands. Well, I suppose this basically means that I should install something like the settings app so that I can check how that works. And maybe try and figure out what's the recommended way of actually launching the whole thing. Maybe through kwin wayland and then the name of the script. That would probably make a lot of sense. And then yeah, if I just press the close button when I'm on the desktop, it just closes Plasma Phone altogether. So, okay. I guess the next thing I should do is ask people on the Plasma IRC about how it's actually supposed to look like and how to start it and whether it's missing something or not. And also try to install the settings app. So let's see, can I get the settings app going? That's another Git repository. Plasma mobile config.git. No, wait, there's Plasma phone settings.git. What am I supposed to be emerging in this case? And looks like KDE cgit is having some issues. Ah, there it is. Plasma mobile config. The latest commit is remove welcome applet in 2013, so clearly that's not what I need. Plasma phone settings, on the other hand, add files from Plasma phone dev setup to kill it, and a bunch of other things. Block normal occlar from mobile. That's also pretty cool. How does that work? Well, still having problems, but now I can at least create a new e-build for this. So let's see. Go to user local portage, KD Plasma, Plasma Mobile, I guess. No. Let's go there first. So make directory Plasma phone settings.get. No, just Plasma phone settings. And then copy over Plasma Mobile. Plasma phone settings, Plasma phone settings 99999 dot rebuild. All right. Okay. Now, what are the requirements for that? Plasma phone settings.get. Tree. No, it's just blacklisting Ocular from the list of applications. And CJIT is still having problems. Oh. That's a weird tree. It has a directory called etc and a directory called usr. That is very weird. So is that just something I should install without compiling anything? In ETC there's Network Manager, AppArmor, init, profile D, scal xdg. I guess these are just like the settings that ought to be set in Plasma Phone. But in user there's bin and share. So let's see what those are all about. Well, there's AA exec click process, and Wi-Fi setup. And user share their spam configs. So not sure how that is supposed to be packaged. Let's just disable all dependencies, I guess, since there's no real compilation thing going on here. Just a bunch of scripts, which hopefully should not interfere with the currently installed scripts. to disable configure. I guess I just keep it blank. Source configure. Then source, let's compile or build. Source unpack, source prepare, source configure, source compile. src compile. And then source install. I guess I can leave it at that. So that's a very weird e-build that I'm writing here, but let's see what happens. So I need repo man manifest. Please manifest yourself, repo man. Syntax error near expected token, close braces, line 50. What is line 50? How do I get line numbers again? Okay, it is here. Can I not have a blank function? This is not V. Huh. What if I just add a blank line? Will that make it happy? No. And if I add the line to make it work, I should probably look at how the virtual e-builds work, because this is definitely very hacky. Yeah, now that works. Okay, and okay, so Plasma phone settings. Well, let's see what will happen. Probably nothing good. But it is fetching the right thing. And yeah, nothing good. Still tries to do something in source prepare. I need to remanifest. I don't think this will actually do much, because it seems to be mostly like extra stuff. There's some references to click, which is like Ubuntu only or something, and probably dead knowing them. Yeah, like user or default must be called blah. No, I'm not seeing anything that useful in Plasma phone settings anyway, so it's probably not really worth it. Just some extra users on the authentication part. There's a script to set up Wi-Fi, which just does the thing with nmcli to set up a network manager connection. Then there's some workarounds for click and some more workarounds for click. And there's some ignore rmnet parts, which just tells Network Manager to ignore a whole bunch of weird interfaces. So I'm pretty sure that this is not for tablets. So I think we're good with what we have, which is not much, to be perfectly honest. So okay, let's just ask people on the Plasma RC channel. Maybe one thing to try is to now actually just run it from GDM. I don't think I tried that. And I do have GDM running right now, so let me try that real quick. Oh, there's the KWin lock screen. That's pretty cool. It shows my battery level, and it does not unlock my screen. Well, that's just great. So I have 2 plasma entries. Let's try the first one. The first one shows the splash screen. It's probably... Oh! Huh. Okay, it actually does start Plasma Mobile. Huh. And the X button is grayed out now. Though everything looks rather small. When it comes to fonts and so on. There's Ocular 2, which doesn't seem to have any way of interacting with it somehow. And there's the other Ocular. Where is the other Ocular? There's the other Ocular. No, that's the first one. Or maybe they're the same. Okay, does Chrome work better here? Not really, it's still very small. But this does seem to be nicer. Oh, there's Ocular in its own full screen window that I cannot seem to do much about. That's weird. Now I'm kind of stuck. Well, basically the Ocular window does not allow me to exit at all, so I will just have to kill it, I guess. That's a rather strange name for that, but okay. 18527. Okay, yeah. Oh, and now I have a clock plasmoid. Nice. But now it's keeping the home button pressed and I cannot actually go anywhere. Oh, okay, now that worked somehow, but it's quite finicky. And I don't seem to be able to drag anything onto the quick select bar, but I can drag things out of the quick select bar, and the next item on the list goes there. That's odd, but okay. Oh, okay, I can drag things in. Huh. Alright. It still looks kind of buggy and unpolished to me, but okay. At least something works. Something more than before. I guess borrowing extra information about how to set it up from people on IRC, this will be all for the time being. Because I achieved what I wanted to achieve, which is to run Plasma Mobile. It runs, it's kind of underwhelming, but it runs. Oh, I can switch desktops by swapping from left to right. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I guess that will be all, and I don't know how to log out. No, I don't know how to log out. Well, and I don't seem to be able to press on search anymore either. Oh, wait, I could, just barely. But just for a split second, so that won't work. Well. There's a phone app, but it doesn't seem to be doing much also. Weird. So it's buggy as all hell, but it runs. So I guess that's good enough for the time being. And I will just exit GDM somehow. Possibly by doing this. That ought to make it exit rather gracefully. And that's going to be it for now. Yeah. See you next time, when we will probably try to either make something more out of Plasma Mobile or try to set up vanilla kernel, or maybe already try to run Chromium OS, I suppose, is our next step. And I guess I will try and write a review for Plasma Mobile and maybe take screenshots if I can manage to do that in the time in between. So I will see you all then. Later.